Okay, so I've read the Demon Slayer manga before, and from that I learned that Ufotable is really good at turning like 2 pages into one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. They've done it with Rui, and they did it again with Akaza. So I was pretty hyped for episode 10 of the second season because of that. And oh boy, this was one of the best episodes I've ever seen in my entire life. Like seriously, I could not stop talking about it and I still can. So I want to talk about what makes this episode so gorgeous and how it did everything so perfectly. Now the things I want to talk about in this video is the animation, the use of the soundtrack, the cinematography and the story. So starting off with the animation, you can tell these were some real talented animators pulling this off, with the use of exaggerated movements to exaggerate the force and the speed of the characters, and the amount of rage it looks like the characters are handing at each attack. When Gyutaro and Uzui had a standoff in the middle of the district, it was some of the most beautiful shit I've ever seen, honestly. The way they made him go that fast and the CGI explosions and attacks around them really made the scene the best it could ever be. Not to mention the close-ups of the characters literally at the verge of dying, giving their 100% power into the attacks. It really made for a scene that I will forever remember. Later on, we also get a dramatic shot of all the characters doing the same, and it really made for an incredible ending to the episode. But you know what also made these scenes so incredible? Well, let's move on to the soundtrack and figure it out. So everyone who's watched Demon Slayer knows the soundtrack is absolutely amazing, and this episode was no exception. With the despair-filled music when Gyutaro appears, to the hope-inducing music when Uzui appears. The use of the soundtrack in these scenes really make them become so much more impactful. Like this is the final chance and the soundtrack just reflects that. Also, one of my favorite moments which you may have catched is that when Uzui makes a score with Gyutaro's moves, the soundtrack also changes to fit that. It adds a couple of instrumentals to the song, and I think that's fucking awesome. It really feels like the soundtrack has been transformed into Uzui's soundtrack. So let's move on to the cinematography. Yet another way they made the scene so impactful. How you see an episode can also change the mood of a scene. For example, when Tanjiro was about to lose his eye, the close-up of it almost touching it was perfect cinematography. It really feels like it's about to take it out until the camera moves back again to reveal Uzui. And that's what's so beautiful about it. Another moment I really enjoy is Zenitsu's appearance. Zenitsu always appears in a flash, but the way he just almost sacrifices his legs to cut the attacks that quickly is really a sight to see. As I mentioned before, the Uzui vs Gyutaro fight also has amazing cinematography. That also helps with the exaggerated moves I was talking about. And the standoff spinning around also had a lot of dramatic effect. And that's why I think the cinematography is so great in this episode. But what really makes this episode so impactful out of all these things has to be the story. To see all of the characters, including Uzui, losing everything to demons, going through hell to train to kill these monsters and not wanting to give up until they are gone is just really impactful. You can really tell that these characters cannot give up. They just can't live in a world where demons exist. They must do the necessary to rid the world of them. And that's why the final attack of them giving it their all is really impactful. This is it. The end. Not of the demons, but the reign of terror of the brothers at least. The start of the end, to kill Muzan and take back peace. And that's why Season 2 Episode 10 of Demon Slayer is a masterpiece.